The Sino-Soviet split, a profound rupture in the once cohesive alliance between China and the Soviet Union, marked a significant turning point in Cold War geopolitics. This article serves as a documentary-style exploration of the events, ideological clashes, and geopolitical factors that led to the deterioration of Sino-Soviet relations, turning former allies into adversaries during the latter half of the 20th century. Part 1. The Early Alliance. The documentary begins by contextualizing the early alliance between the People's Republic of China, led by the Chinese Communist Party under Mao Zedong, and the Soviet Union, governed by the Communist Party under Joseph Stalin. In the early years after the Chinese Civil War, the two nations shared ideological affinities and strategic interests against common adversaries. Part 2. Ideological Differences. As the Cold War progressed, the article explores the ideological differences that began to strain Sino-Soviet relations. Disagreements emerged over the interpretation of Marxism-Leninism, the role of peasants in revolution, and the nature of socialist development, revealing deep-seated divergences between Chinese and Soviet leadership. Part 3. The Great Leap Forward and Soviet Criticism. The documentary delves into the Great Leap Forward, Mao's ambitious economic and social campaign in the late 1950s. Soviet leaders, notably Nikita Khrushchev, criticized the campaign's radical nature and its departure from traditional Marxist economic principles, further exacerbating tensions. Part 4. The Cuban Missile Crisis and Soviet-U.S. Relations. Against the backdrop of the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, the article examines the complexities of Sino-Soviet relations. China viewed the Soviet Union's willingness to negotiate with the United States as a betrayal of revolutionary principles, contributing to a deepening sense of distrust. Part 5. Border Clashes and the Ushiri River Incident. The documentary vividly recounts the border clashes between Chinese and Soviet forces in the early 1960s, culminating in the Ushiri River Incident of 1969. The skirmish highlighted territorial disputes and underlying geopolitical tensions, pushing the two nations closer to open hostility. Part 6. Mao's Fear of Soviet Domination. As Cold War dynamics evolved, the article explores Mao's growing apprehension about Soviet intentions. Fearful of becoming a subordinate ally, Mao sought to assert China's independence and leadership within the global communist movement. Part 7. Diplomatic Isolation and Rivalry. The documentary sheds light on China's diplomatic isolation as the Soviet Union aligned with the United States in arms control talks, further isolating China within the international communist movement. The Sino-Soviet split intensified, leading to a competitive rivalry for influence in the global communist sphere. Part 8. Legacy and the Modern Era. The article reflects on the enduring legacy of the Sino-Soviet split and its impact on global geopolitics. Despite periods of normalization in later years, the profound distrust between China and Russia, the successor state to the Soviet Union, continues to shape their relationship in the contemporary world. Conclusion. The Sino-Soviet split, as explored in this documentary-style narrative, exemplifies the complexities and shifting dynamics of Cold War alliances. The ideological, political, and geopolitical factors that led to the estrangement between China and the Soviet Union highlight the intricacies of maintaining unity within the communist bloc. Understanding the historical context of the Sino-Soviet split contributes to a nuanced appreciation of the geopolitical landscape during the Cold War and its lasting impact on global affairs.